Hey guys, Doug Walker here. I'm sure many of you have heard about the passing of Robin Williams. They say it is most likely suicide, and he deserves to be talked about because this really was just something so mind-blowing when it came to entertainment and improv and thinking on your feet. I can't think of anybody, really, in the history of comedy. Maybe there probably is, but nobody has balanced it out. Nobody has made such a big name. Nobody has just applied himself to so many different mediums and done so well. Really excelling in this one part that really was mind-blowing, and that was the improv. That was his improv comedy. It's seeing him on an interview. It's seeing him go up in front of a crowd, something goes wrong, and him making 12 jokes about it, all of them hilarious, all of them incredibly funny. These are jokes that, like, writers would have to sit down and think really hard about to get a good punchline. If a bookshelf was to fall right now, most comedic writers would, they can maybe think of something kind of funny on the fly, but, or even a good, person that does improv can look at and say something funny, like legitimately funny. He will come up with something that would take most writers like a half hour to think of. Like, he was that quick, and he was that funny, and he was that good. And that really is rare. It's rare for someone to not only be that good at improv and that good at thinking on your feet, but to also have these other talents that extended out to writing, because a lot of improv actors aren't always great at writing material, but he did. He did very funny stand-ups. Acting, not just dramatically, but comedically. I mean, he could do these, these wonderful roles, and he's been in bad movies. I mean, I can't think of any actor that's been in nothing but good movies, but even then, there was always this sense that he was never half-assing it. He was never giving it, it's just this kind of movie, I'll just kind of give this kind of performance. No, he always looked like he was giving everything. And every time he's in front of a person, it looked like he was giving everything. Anytime he was in an interview or in front of a crowd or even just a one-on-one, it always seemed like he was just throwing his all, trying to entertain. And most people, again, this is what makes him so unique, most people would be really annoyed by that. And kind of rightfully so, because we would look at that person and say, boy, that person really wants attention. They just want everyone to look at them. They walk into a room, hey, look at me, yelling, screaming, look at me. But it was never that. It was, he really wanted to make you feel good, or at least that's what came across. What came across is that he wanted you not to feel uncomfortable, and he wanted to make you laugh. He wanted to make you really enjoy wherever you are, Anytime you see an interview, he would just tell jokes for like 20 minutes inside the actor's studio. Like, I don't think he spoke like without telling a joke for like maybe a half hour, maybe even an hour, because it was just built into him that he just wanted people to kind of feel good. And when you did finally break that down, he was very quiet, he was very soft-spoken, and, he would often kind of talk very much under his breath like this, and you got the feeling that this person really, it didn't seem like that kind of person that was just doing this to make money, or to make a living, or to make a name for himself. This seemed like a guy who did because he felt like he had to. And maybe that ties into his depression or whatever, I don't know. I never met the guy. Even people I know who do have depression, I can't guess what they're going through. You even say somebody has depression, it's not like just, oh, it's this one thing. There's so many different levels and so many different ways of understanding it and going through it, some minor, some extreme. So I can't guess at that. What I do know is that this kind of guy does not come across often. And there are very unbelievably talented improv artists and comedians and so forth, but none as not just fast, but as consistent as this guy. There's a Carol Burnett routine where they're at a funeral, and he's like a weird guy at a funeral, and they do it written. And it's funny. It's a very funny sketch. And then I guess he went up to her and said, leave about 5-10 minutes. I want to do it again. I just want to make stuff up. And he not only made stuff up that was funny on its own, but he took what you knew from the sketch you just saw and worked that into it. And she was throwing stuff right back at him. I mean, they were working off of each other, and it's just incredible how well he can think this stuff up. It was usually funnier than when he sat down and wrote something. And when he sat down and wrote something, it was very funny. His stand-ups are great. But there is nothing... You're gonna laugh the hardest when something goes wrong or some idiot in the audience says something, trying to heckle him, and he's gonna throw 9 insults right back at you that are gonna be amazing. That you're telling yourself, I'm gonna use that later, I'm going to say this later, and with a blink of an eye, he'll have it. And I think another example of not necessarily being a person who did this just for the attention, he was entertaining the troops. I really like this video. In the middle, they're lowering the flag, and I guess when you do this, all the soldiers stand up, face the flag, and they're quiet, and the flag is lowered. And this was going on in the middle of his routine, so suddenly everybody at a certain time stands up, he just goes, up, and if he was that guy who just wanted attention, just wanted people to look at him, he would keep making jokes. He would keep saying, hey guys, I'm over here, where are you looking, blah, blah, blah. But no, he stopped and he took off his hat and he was quiet and he just folded his hands and he just stood there in total silence, waited till it was done, and people sat down. And of course, he had 10 phenomenal lines right after that. I mean, he was saying like, he asked, what was that? They say it was the lowering the flag. Oh, good, because, as a comedian, that's the scariest thing when everybody just says, fuck you, asshole, and turns around and everyone's dying, and he just kept going with it. All I've heard about this guy, outside of how funny he is how kind he is, how sweet he is. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard a bad Robin Williams story. Some people say we kind of take it for granted. I don't know if we did, because he was constantly giving so much. There was so much always coming at us from him, just this brilliant comedy, but we never got tired of it. And I don't think we ever said, oh, Robin Williams gonna do stand-up, whatever. It's like, no, we would always go to see Robin Williams do stand-up. We'd always go to hear him do improv because we always knew it was gonna be something different. It was gonna be something new. It was gonna be something great. What I was talking about before about inspiring me as a young man, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a cartoon. I just wanted to be a cartoon. And the two people who seemed to be the closest were Jim Carrey and Robin Williams. So I would just watch those guys and see what they did. And they were very different. Jim Carrey was very physical. And he could really move his body around. He had a lot of energy and he could contort his face and do all this cool stuff. But the wit wasn't as good as Williams. Williams, where Jim Carrey was very much Daffy Duck, Robin Williams was Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny was going to have the wit. He was going to have the good comeback. He was always going to have the right answer. Robin Williams always seemed to have the right answer. Whatever situation you're in, he would have the perfect joke. Not just one. Try 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now I'm done. Where a lot of people would struggle to get one perfect joke, he would give you 5. I just so greatly admired that. And he was a person where when I was watching him as a kid, I would kind of say, maybe I can be, little naive kid. Maybe I can be the next Jim Carrey. Yeah, maybe I can do that. And maybe I can be the next, I point out all these are comedians, but no, I'm not going to be the next Robin Williams. Nobody is going to be the next Robin Williams. They don't exist yet. Maybe they will. It's totally possible. It happened once. It really was unmatched. There's only one Robin Williams. There's only one as quick, as smart, and as funny. And a lot of people are asking, what's your favorite Robin Williams moment? And again, there's just so many different good ones. But I remember one that always stuck with me. I just loved it. It was a stand-up he did in 1978, and this is him as a young man. I mean, we saw him as an old guy, but as a young man, I mean, he is bouncing off the walls and walking on top of people. I mean, it's just like unbelievable energy. And he did this bit at the end where he's playing an old man and he's making jokes about what's happened in the future and stuff. And he talks about spark of madness. And he says, sometimes you gotta go full bozo, sometimes you have to keep it restrained, but we all get that spark of madness, and it's, you can either let it glow, maybe to a point where it burns you up, or you can put it out and extinguish it. There's so many different things you can do with it, but never fully put it out. And I think within all the madness and the loud and the energy and the chaos, he knew how to find those quiet moments, and this was my favorite quiet moment, because the audience, filled with people, 70s, so they're probably all stoned off their asses and stuff, and they're, all on drugs and stuff, and it's a great crowd, they're all screaming and yelling throughout the jokes. They go quiet there, and they really listen to him. And he just says, he talks about that spark of madness and how it's so important to hold on to it, to never fully put it out. I think as someone who, was different, is different in many respects, and wanted to do something with that difference and be special, but not, not hated by everybody, not made fun of like most people who are kind of different, that was the stand-up. That was the moment that said it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be proud of, and it's something to hold dear to you, and it's something you do not want to get rid of. You don't want to lose. That spark of madness, that little bit of thinking out of the box. All great people have it. Why would you want to think like everybody else? Why would you want to think the normal route? Nothing incredible happens that way. You have to have that spark of madness. And I really adore that stand-up. It was a great ending to that stand-up as well. And that's what I always think of when I think of like his best moment for me. At least the moment that spoke the most for me. As a kid, it really meant a lot hearing that, and hearing such a great person say that, and it means just as much to me now as it did back then. So, Robin, thank you for all you're giving to us. You're a great talent, and you'll very much be missed. Take care, my friend.